Hello guys, you're welcome to your favorite channel. And in today's video, we're going to share with you one of the most amazing pieces of information you probably didn't know before now. Get your popcorn and sit tight. Everyone needs to hear this. The United States of America is a major global power. They are one of the world's most powerful nations, and the US Army is largely responsible for it. In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 tribes feared by the US Army and how they managed to survive against all odds. A must-watch for anyone who wants to learn more about these brave warriors and their remarkable history. Learn why these tribes are seen as an invincible force and why the US Army admires their courage and bravery. These fearless tribes have waged war against the US in the past. Some of them didn't even fire guns. Here's our list of the top 5 toughest tribes that are feared by the US Army. Please note this list is in no particular order, and everything you see here is based on fact. Kicking off the list from number 5, the Kazakh People. The Kazakhs are a Turkic-speaking ethnic group native to Kazakhstan and parts of northern Uzbekistan, the Russian borders, northwest China, more specifically the Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture, and Mongolia, Bayan-Iji Province. The Republic of Kazakhstan has come under the scrutiny of competing influences and interests from the Russian Federation, the People's Republic of China, and the United States of America, as they try to advance their national security goals along the Silk Road due to its geopolitical location between the East and the West. These prospective adversaries compete against one another in various contexts. The Republic of Kazakhstan performs a complex dance in the midst of the powerful gravitational attraction of these entities. The Kazakh Republic has a multi-vector national policy to moderate contacts with major powers in an effort to maintain neutrality and balance while reducing the likelihood of plots. Needless to say that any of the 3 superpower countries are walking on eggshells when they deal with the Kazakh people. Not because they have a strong military army comparable to the US, China, or Russia, but because of their geopolitical advantage. On top of that, they are exceedingly powerful, hardy, and durable. They may also teach their bodies to adjust to any type of weather, making them self-sufficient and not dependent on anybody for assistance. Some people even say that they are the people of Genghis Khan, even though the great leader is only 5% Kazakh. But hey, if being the descendant of Genghis Khan will drive people away from conquering the land, then I guess it's a win. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. I'm reading your comments. Up next on our list is the Chukchi People. The Chukchi, or Chukchi, are a Siberian indigenous people native to the Chukchi Peninsula, the shores of the Chukchi Sea and the Bering Sea region of the Arctic Ocean, all within modern Russia. In prehistoric times, the Chukchi engaged in nomadic hunter-gatherer modes of existence. However, it appears that they still include certain aspects of subsistence hunting in the present, such as hunting polar bears, seals, walruses, whales, and reindeer. When Russians arrived at the Kolyma River 1643 and the Anadyr River, they had their initial contacts with the Chukchi 1649. The road along the southwest of the main Chukchi region from Nizhnekamsk to the fort at Anadyrsk developed and became a significant trading route. In 1701, the first offensive against them was launched. Other expeditions were sent out in 1708, 1709, and 1711, with tremendous carnage but little success, and failed to exterminate the native inhabitants over the enormous region. The authorities in St. Petersburg authorized another war in 1742, with the goal of completely extirpating the Chukchi and the Koryak. Similar cruelty was used throughout the 1744 to 1747 conflict, which came to a conclusion with Pavlutsky's death in March of 1747. It is reported that the Chukchi preserved his head as a trophy for a number of years. The Russians waged war in the 1750s, but a part of the Chukchi people did survive this extermination plan on the very far northeast. After these unsuccessful expeditions, St. Petersburg adopted a different policy. This new policy allowed the Chukchi to pay low tax, which in turn allowed the Russians to trade peacefully. All thanks to their new ruler, of course. Just a side note, it's the Chukchi people who attacked Russia during these conflicts. So yeah, they are fearless. Number 3. Maori. Sometime between 1250 and 1300 AD, waves of boats brought the Maori people of New Zealand from eastern Polynesia. They evolved a rich, complicated civilization throughout the ages, complete with a vicious, horrifying warrior culture. Although women might be warriors too, Europeans depicted the Maori warriors as huge males with elaborate face tattoos. Although they had an intense physical presence, this was merely the beginning of what made these warriors so terrifying that even the US Army was terrified of them. One of these things is that they were known to be headhunters and keeping the head of their enemy as trophies. This is not to show others that they were able to kill one, but so they could mock it later. How crazy is that? In any case, every male was groomed to be a warrior starting at an early age. Their focus was on developing wrist strength specifically. Their weapons, such as the mere, would become considerably more potent as a result. Well, they don't hold clubs nowadays, but they still train children to have the heart of a warrior. The haka, a traditional native dance, is perhaps the most known custom employed by the Maori warriors, and it is still performed by many of their national sports teams today. The dancers chant, pound their feet, stick out their tongues, and enlarge their eyeballs while performing the dance. It was employed in 2 separate ways. The first is to intimidate their enemies, the other is used as a battle cry. Makes me wonder, is Jason Momoa trying to intimidate his audience whenever he does the haka on TV? Leave your comments below on what you think he is using it for. Don't go anywhere yet. Our number 2 and number 1 are on different levels. The number 2 on our list today is the Cheyenne Tribe. Life in the wilderness was hard. The growing communities that were moving further and further west were causing conflicts amongst the tribes and fostering rivalries. As a result, tribes like the Cheyenne developed a strong warrior culture, one that emphasized warriors' roles as defenders, suppliers, and leaders, rather than as war makers. The Cheyenne were dependent on the local natural resources, like the majority of Native American tribes. They were fierce hunters and consumed meat from small animals like rabbit and squirrel, as well as buffalo, elk, deer, bear, and wild turkey. The Cheyenne were expert horsemen, and it was terrifying to see them in battle. The tribe's warriors were revered and regarded in high regard for their prowess and valor, which they still preserve today, but with modern tools and modern knowledge. Conflict was fierce and constant with the Cheyenne tribe with the fast spread of European culture. Violence was certain to occur when settlers and colonists traveled through Cheyenne territory on their way to Oregon and California. Eventually, the U.S., in order to punish the Cheyenne and other Native American tribes for how they treated white settlers who had trespassed on their territory, the Army would become involved. The most notable confrontation between the Cheyenne and the U.S. Army is the Little Bighorn Battle in 1876. A small cavalry unit headed by General George Armstrong Custer entered a vast camp containing thousands of Native Americans, including the Cheyenne, Sioux, and Lakota. Custer's men were surrounded and killed, which became a rallying cry for U.S. citizens and a turning point in the U.S. Well, at least it resulted in a more positive response by the U.S. And for our number 1 pick, the Kiowa. Around 1650, the Kiowa relocated from the northern Missouri River Valley to the Black Hills, where they coexisted amicably with the Crow Indians. They totaled around 3,000 and were arranged into 10 separate bands at the time. The Kiowa led a standard Plains Indian way of life. Living in teepees and being mostly nomadic, they relied on their horses for both hunting and military purposes. Indians of the Plains, like the Kiowa, were warriors. They regularly engaged in combat with adversaries that lived close by and outside of their region. But what they are notoriously known for is their long-distance raids. And mind you, the majority of battle was conducted while riding on horses, which makes it more complicated and, let's admit it, way cooler. They do, however, have opponents everywhere from the north, south, east, and west of their region, as a result of their warrior attitude and conduct. Young men who proved their bravery, skill, or displayed their worth in battle were often invited to one of the warrior societies. Kiowa warriors used a combination of traditional and non-traditional weapons, including long lances, bows and arrows, tomahawks, knives, and war clubs, as well as the later acquired rifles, shotguns, revolvers, and cavalry swords. It sounds like it's nothing, but trust us, you don't want to mess with them because they don't go down easy. This brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed what we had for you today, don't forget to give us a thumbs up to show your continued support for the channel. If you have not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button on your screen and comment subscribed on the comment section. We have something for our new viewers, and the winner will be picked randomly. Also, make sure to hit that notification icon to be notified of our next video, since there will be more amazing and jaw-dropping videos that you would never expect. Thanks guys, stay awesome, and see you next week.